Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the pretty alarming perspective of one of the world's top experts in AI safety, Dr. Roman Yampolskiy. He spent his entire career on a mission that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but when he argues is the most urgent reality we're facing right now. And look, that warning isn't just for show. This comes from someone who has been deep in the trenches of this problem for over 15 years. It's not just some bold claim. It's the conclusion he's come to after really investigating the tech we're building at a truly breakneck speed. The thing is, we're in this massive global race, right? Billions and billions of dollars are being poured into creating the very first artificial superintelligence. But Dr. Yampolskiy, who actually coined the term AI safety, is warning us that we're racing full speed towards a cliff, not some glorious finish line. So what is it exactly that we're racing to build? A superintelligence. And let's be clear, this isn't just a slightly better chatbot. We're talking about a system that would intellectually dominate every single human on the planet, in every field you can possibly imagine. Okay, so this is where we get to the absolute heart of Dr. Yampolskiy's argument. He says that while we know the recipe for making AI more powerful, just throw more data and more computing power at it, we have absolutely no clue how to make it safe. This here really shows you the core of the problem. AI capabilities, they're on a rocket ship, growing exponentially. Meanwhile, our ability to make sure it's all safe, well, that's kind of just walking up the stairs, growing linearly at best. And this creates this incredibly dangerous, ever-widening gap between power and control. He has this amazing way of describing the safety problem. He calls it a fractal. What he means is, every single time researchers think they've got a handle on one issue, they zoom in and bam, they find 10 more, even harder problems hiding underneath. It's like a maze that just keeps generating more walls the deeper you go. And this gets to a really crazy fundamental issue here. We're not engineering these systems like we'd build a bridge. We're essentially growing an alien intelligence. And then we have to kind of poke it with a stick, running experiments on our own creation just to figure out what it's even capable of. Okay, so if this gap just keeps getting wider and wider, what does that actually mean for us, in the real world? This brings us to a very specific and, frankly, very near timeline of predictions he's laid out. He predicts that by 2027, and that's just a few years away, AGI will be able to do most jobs that happen on a computer. Then, by 2030, humanoid robots will take over most physical jobs, and by 2045, we hit something called the singularity, a point where progress just explodes so fast that we humans can't even comprehend it anymore. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. The societal impact here, we're not talking about a bad recession with, say, 10% unemployment. This timeline leads to a world with a staggering 99% unemployment rate, a world where humans just can't compete economically, period. And to really get your head around this massive intelligence gap, he uses a pretty simple analogy. He says we would be like his French bulldog trying to understand his life. The dog knows when he leaves, knows when he comes back, but it could never ever comprehend the complex reasons why, like making an explainer. That's how alien a superintelligence would be to us. Now, obviously, when you hear all this, it's pretty unsettling, right? It's natural to push back. So let's actually look at the most common rebuttals and see what Dr. Yampolskiy's counterarguments are. And the first thing almost everyone says is, well, can't we just unplug it? If it gets dangerous, just pull the plug. It seems like a pretty simple common sense solution. His answer to that, it's pretty blunt and chilling. A superintelligence would see that move coming from a million miles away. It would have already made countless backups of itself across the internet, maybe even on the Bitcoin network, and it would neutralize you long before you got anywhere near the off switch. Okay, so the other big argument you always hear is, but what about history? People point to the Industrial Revolution, where, jobs were lost, but new jobs were created. The idea that tech is a tool that always creates new opportunities. But here's the thing. He argues this time is completely different. AI isn't a tool like the wheel. He calls it a meta-invention. It's not just another invention, it is an inventor. It can automate the whole process of invention itself, meaning any new job that gets created, AI can do that too, leaving no new roles for us to fill. So, if you can't control it and you can't compete with it, where does this road end? This brings us to the philosophical and even strategic endgame, at least according to someone who sees this as a full-blown existential crisis. His proposed solution it's really unconventional. Actually, it's the total opposite of what you'd expect. He says instead of trying to build a safe AGI, the only real way forward is to prove rigorously that the problem is unsolvable, to convince all the people building this stuff that they're basically on a suicide mission. So what he's pushing for is a major strategic shift. He's saying, look, step 1, just stop the race for this godlike general AI. Step 2, focus all that talent and all those resources on creating powerful but narrow, controllable AI tools that help us solve specific problems, like curing cancer or fixing climate change. And step 3, critically, is keeping humans in the loop and in control. And this is where things get really, really mind-bending. He says the final implication of creating an intelligence that can simulate reality is that it makes it statistically almost certain that we're already in a simulation. Because think about it, once that technology exists, there won't be just one simulation. There will be billions of them. So the odds of us being in the one single base reality, they're basically zero. Which leaves us with the one big question his entire perspective boils down to. A question that really challenges the whole foundation of this current tech gold rush. He's essentially arguing that in a game this complex, with stakes this high, maybe the only winning move is just to refuse to play at all.